I, Sanika Sarve, welcome you all to another exciting episode of Dialogue of Dias, Recreating the Rapport. Today we have with us a very special guest, an altruistic personality with a happy spirit, Dr. Shipra Moge, Assistant Professor Psychology and the Center Head for Mitra, the Wellness Center of COE. We are glad to have you here, ma'am.
I'm glad to hear too.
So the first question, psychology is considered to be a non-conventional field of study. So how did you realize that you wanted to study psychology?
Uh, that's a very good question, but it has a very long answer. I never planned to study psychology. It may come as a surprise for a lot of people, but I had never thought in my life that I would become a very, let's say, involved person in this field called psychology. I stumbled upon it, to be very honest. I didn't study psychology in my like in the junior college, and in my graduation also I took psychology because there was no other option left. So I stumbled upon it. I selected English literature. I selected music because those were the things I could easily do. And then there was just one combination. Like in the combination, only one subject was left, which was psychology. So my sister said, "Okay, take this up." And I asked her. I remember asking her that, "What does it mean? Why do I need to study this?" And she said, "It will be interesting. It's about people. So just study it and find out how it is." So I said, "Okay, fine." And then I think I was destined for this because it grew on me. It has grown on me so much now that uh, I don't know what else I could have done in my life, and I'm really really pleased that I chose this field. There are a lot of people who contributed in my the way I have been shaped, but I would say that this subject gets the most credit because it has really transformed me from a very different person. Although people who know me from my college or my school probably would see that difference, and I'm a totally different person now. I hope for the better. So I particularly stumbled upon it, and then I decided to do my master, for which I came to Pune. And I never also thought that I would do a PhD. I didn't know what PhD entails and why I need to do research. But then again, slowly because of this subject and my growing love for it, I think it just grew on me. So I don't think that that would have been something else for me, and I'm very happy where I am.
So, ma'am, apart from being a professor, you're also a consulting psychologist at COEP. So,
Hmm.
what are the challenges which you come across as a counselor?
Challenges. Okay. Well, I always feel that if you call something a challenge, then only it's a challenge. Otherwise, it's a part of your job. So, uh, irrespective of whether it's being a teacher or being the faculty advisor of a event or being the center head for Mitra or counseling, anything, it comes with its set of challenges. But there are, yes, particular things which do, let's say, become difficult for me to handle sometimes. Counseling, I don't think I have had a lot of challenges because I would say that over the years I have learned how to, let's say, segregate my personal life with the personal problems that people share with me. This is, I think, the biggest challenge which usually counselors would face, and I used to face that. Um, Challenge otherwise, what I feel is not in counseling, but the whole concept of counseling. That is something that I find very challenging. Which by that I mean is that it is thought that anyone can do counseling, or so if, let's say, a senior person, anybody, even in our family, if they say something or if they guide you or if they tell you some suggestions quote, so it is considered that it is counseling, whereas it is not, so it is like a very standardized discipline which people have to follow with a lot of discipline. So this confusion that people have, and when they take it lightly and when they take mental health lightly, that is something which is very challenging for me, and it really disturbs me a lot when I see that a lot could have, a lot of nice things could have happened to someone if a little bit of attention was paid to the mental health. This is something that I find really challenging, and this affects me a lot. Otherwise, it's just part of the job. It's fine.
Oh, so, ma'am, we all have been in your classes, and your classes are always lively for all the students. So, what is
Thank
your
you.
key element? What is your key element that helps you keep the students involved and interested?
Uh, the only thing, I have to be lively if I want my classes to be lively. I would not want to sit in a boring class. So I would not want my students to sit in a boring class. I would not want myself to sit quietly or just doze off or get the opportunity to check my phone or maybe just go listen for 2 hours or 1 hour and then come back and not let anything sink in. I would not want that when I am a student. So why should I allow that to happen to my students? So as simple as that. If I bring an energy with myself, it passes on to the students. I strongly believe in the power of energy, and I feel that if I go with a lot of enthusiasm and motivation and with a bright smile on my face, and people tend to react to the same thing. If I go with a frown, they're going to frown at me, and I don't want frowning faces in my class. So to keep it lively and to keep it, let's say, the fun element or the interest element or the involvement, I need to start that with myself, and that's what I've been doing. So probably that works.
Sainism and mentalism, which we describe as the stigma towards mental illness, is still prevalent in our society. So, here are a few questions which might help our students to overcome this fear and talk freely about their problems. Due to the lockdown, there was a surging wave of stress throughout.
Hmm.
So, what would you suggest as the alternatives or remedies those students or people who face frustration due to forced isolation during this lockdown?
Uh, I think first thing that everyone needs to understand is uh, this entire lockdown or this pandemic is something that is happening for the first time for everyone, not just for the students, but for the faculty, but for your parents, but for the society, but for the policymakers, for doctors. Even today, we are not really sure what exactly is going to happen in the next 6 months, which was very easy last year. It was very easy. We could see, a 5 year plan or a 6 month plan. We could easily, dish it out that, okay, after 6 months, I'm going to do this. Now you cannot say that. So if my parents ask me that when are you going to visit us, I cannot tell them when, right? This is happening for the first time and it is happening for everyone. So it's important that we remember that we are not alone in this. We are together. That is the first thing. I think that has also been propagated a lot by WHO, that we are in this together. So we need to remind ourselves, repeatedly that I'm not the only one who's suffering. I'm not the only one who's going through all this stress or frustration. It's common. It may sound that it is very preachy, or it's like, okay, fine, ये तो सब जगह लिखा है, इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है. But I'm telling you, if you tell this to yourself, it helps a lot. It has helped me personally. But then I had to remind myself deliberately, consciously, every single day that I'm not the only one who's suffering. The only thing is that how people respond to this, this ongoing stress is going to be different. So you need to identify your own patterns of how you respond to it. For instance, let's say if there are people who, whenever they are stressed about anything, about it could be exams or it could be an interview or it could be talking to someone, it could be anything, right? So if let's say usually when they are stressed, they react by not facing the situation, so running away. Okay, they may react by actually fighting it out. Okay, so trying to deal with it. Okay, or they may try to seek help from someone. They will take support of somebody and then they will try to deal with it, or they will be all nervous and there will be a lot of physiological symptoms, like for example, oh, I get a headache, or maybe I have a pit in my stomach, or I have lost sleep, or I have lost hunger. So there are various ways in which our bodies and our mind react to different situations. We need to understand what is my pattern, how do I respond. So for example, whenever there is stress, I will, let's say, become very jittery, okay, or I will go on thinking a lot. So I know this is my pattern. Identifying your pattern is the first step to dealing with it. If you do not identify your pattern, you are, running wildly without any light. You are just running in darkness. You are trying to grab something without knowing what you are trying to grab. So it's very important to understand your pattern. Secondly, I would say that, let's say, if someone is feeling very very stressed out or very frustrated, you have to consciously take an effort to work on it, not just go on reading over the internet and watching videos. That's not going to help you. It will give you the pointers, it will give you tips, but whether you use it or not in your life, it is entirely going to be dependent on you. So whatever you read, use what is most suitable to you, not something that your friend has tried may work for you. So identifying your pattern, number one. whether how you respond to the stress, how you respond to a anxiety provoking situation, how you respond to any kind of external situation or internal situation, and then what can be done about it. Of course, reading, looking up for answers. Quora, I don't know if it is a good option. I am not very comfortable with Quora, but yes, there are a lot of good resources which are available and free of cost. There are very good videos which people are putting up. So yes, go through that, but don't fall prey to false information. Okay, use your sense, and ultimately, everyone must remember that if you make mental health your priority, if you make it a priority that I want to feel good, I am going to try to feel good. Okay? If you make this a priority, I think things do fall in place. But if you keep on questioning this belief, then there would be problems. No matter how much amount of tips I give you or suggestions I give you, it won't work unless you believe in it. So first of all, identify your pattern. Secondly, identify what works for you. And third, believe in it and follow it. Don't give up. Okay? Don't give up on yourself. Okay? I'm not giving up on anyone. I'm not giving up on myself. You don't have to give up on yourself either. So try to do these one or two things, and I think that should help. And also, yes, remember that collectively we can, beat this. And don't hesitate to reach out to people. Reach out to people whom you trust, who you think will be of help, who you think would understand you. Please don't hesitate to reach out. It's absolutely necessary in these times to reach out.
Ma'am, there are many misconceptions regarding anxiety. So, what exactly anxiety is and how to deal with it?
So, if let's say a particular day I'm worried about something, it's worry. All right. How do I know that it is a worry or an anxiety? If let's say I'm thinking about something, it's causing me some disturbance, okay, and I'm not able to concentrate on other things, and it gives me all sorts of there is nervousness, there is my heartbeat increases, so on and so forth. If it is temporary, or if it goes away after a while, then probably it's something which was situation generated, and there was a stimulus to it, and so it will go away, let's say, on its own. Another thing is, if you have found that, okay, fine, so whenever I'm worried, if I talk about it to someone, it helps me. There's nothing to be worried about in the long run. These are temporary phases of anxiety, which is okay, which happens with everyone. There is nobody who doesn't feel anxious. When it becomes a problem, so when it is it's a clinical anxiety, let's say, when it starts affecting your functioning in the sense your daily functioning. If it starts interrupting your regular activities, if it starts interrupting your physical health, or if it starts disturbing your physical health, if it starts disturbing your regular flow of thought, then it is something that you need to address specifically. Understand that it's okay to feel anxious, it's a normal part. It's a normal part of a lifestyle to feel anxious. It comes out of a basic emotion, fear. And we all are scared of something, so it's absolutely okay. But when does it become a problem? Like I said, when it starts interfering with your everyday functioning. So you have to identify if it is stopping you from doing your other activities or regular activities which you otherwise do very normally. अगर ऐसा होने लगता है तो फिर that is a time when probably you need to speak to a professional or watch your symptoms and observe yourself that okay, is it really going out of hand? And if it is going out of hand, don't hesitate to reach out.
So, ma'am, how to approach a friend who is in mental distress, and how is therapy different from talking to a friend?
Oh, it's very, very different. It's entirely different. Reaching out to a friend who seems to be in mental distress, I would say just reach out. You don't have to think about it. Many times, we feel that, let's say, for example, I see a status. WhatsApp statuses are the best ways of identifying what your friends are going through because it represents your state of mind. And remember, your one call, your one act of not being hesitating or not being hesitated to connect to this person can really help him in the long run. I am telling this from personal experience. When I see anybody's status, not just because I am in this profession, but otherwise also, if I see someone's status is disturbing, I just message them, ask them that, hi, how are you? Everything okay? That's all. That's all it takes. These 3-4 words. If a person is seeking help, If he is looking for some help, it is going to hit him and he's going to connect back. If it doesn't, please understand it is his choice. Do not hesitate. Just ask. Just ask, how are you doing? And it's absolutely okay, at least in these crazy times, to ask people, are you doing okay? Is everything all right? I'm here. Even if you just say that, more than enough. Therapy is a systematic way of dealing with issues. It is person oriented. By that, I mean that it is going to be specifically designed for each individual differently, depending on what kind of issues they are going through or what needs to be handled. So it requires training, it requires certifications, it requires experience. Not everyone can do therapy, and not everyone should do therapy, because you cannot do everything. Just because I'm a psychologist, or I'm not supposed to do everything that comes in psychology. For example, engineers, if there is a person who is an engineer, he's not supposed to build bridges and buildings just because he's an engineer. He has his own specialization. So I cannot expect a software engineer to build a building, or a civil engineer to actually be a master in coding. I cannot expect that.
For this section, you have to answer the questions within 10 seconds. Like
Oh my God.
10 seconds for each question.
Okay.
So the first question,
Yeah.
describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh my God. I think, I believe, and I do.
Okay. Actually, that became 4 words.
I'm sorry. I'm not very good at rapid fire, so I'll just go on using lots of words.
So the next question, your dream destination.
Oh my God, there's a list. But if I have to pick one immediately, Bhutan. I want to go to Bhutan.
Okay. One thing on your bucket list.
Deep sea diving.
Okay. One virtue that you admire the most in others.
Honesty and genuineness.
The most used smartphone app in your mobile.
WhatsApp.
Any one hobby of yours.
Any one hobby of mine? Oh, that's difficult. Okay. Reading, I won't call a hobby because that's kind of a lifestyle. Workout is also a lifestyle. So sketching. Yeah.
Okay. Your favorite movie.
I can't answer that. I cannot answer that. I'm a movie buff. I have a huge list. I skip that question.
Okay.
You give me a genre. You give me a genre, and then I can give you one answer. But I cannot give you one movie. That's difficult.
So your favorite animated movie.
Oh my God, there is a list. Inside Out, fine. Okay.
Which role do you prefer more, a teacher or a counselor?
Counselor is also a teacher, so teacher.
So for the next questions, I'll give you a word and you have to tell me the first word that pops in your mind regarding that.
This is called as word association test.
Yeah. So first is Mitra.
Mitra, friend.
Student section of COE.
Controversial.
E-learning.
E-learning, absolutely necessary.
COEP student.
The best.
Abhijat.
Expression.
So the next question now. Your one-line definition of happiness.
Happiness to me is when I can try to see goodness in myself and in others, and when I can find contentment and satisfaction in whatever I have. That is happiness.
Your favorite snack at COEP canteen?
COEP canteen? You mean boat club canteen?
Any Meta canteen or boat club canteen.
Okay, I don't go to Meta canteen much, but boat club canteen, I would say. What do I like? What do I order the most? Kanda bhaji, kekda bhaji, especially when Rahul makes it. It's amazing.
A faculty in COEP that you admire the most.
Oh my God, there's a list. But immediately, so it's very difficult for me to answer this because I admire people for different things. So I can start with the director. So I admire him for the kind of, you know, he's so calm even in the most pressed situations, and his wit, he's extremely witty, and for a whole lot of other things. I also admire Sudhane sir because he's very sharp, and he's very meticulous in whatever he does, and he always expects good quality work. I admire Ayer ma'am because I have never seen anyone else who is so who has so much faith in being genuine, right? So that's what I admire about these people. And then there are a lot of other people.
A
Okay.
song with whose lyrics you know by heart.
Oh, I always sing this song. I love this song. I Have a Dream by ABBA. This is a song which I keep singing to myself when I feel low. And there's this song, and there's one more song, What a Wonderful World. So, two songs I really, really love. And I Have a Dream is something which I sing with my students also. So, I make it a point that someday we all, with the lyrics and everything, we all sing together in the class. We do that. So, yeah. So,
Would you
I
like to sing for
have
us
a
now?
dream. Oh, I'm already singing. I'm already singing. I have a dream, a song to sing, to help me cope with everything. If you see the wonder of a fairy tale, you can take the future, even if you fail. Oh, they leave an angel, something good in everything I see. I believe an angel. When I know the time is right for me, I cross the street. I have a dream. It's my favorite song.
So during your college years, is there any mischief or funny incident would you like to share with us?
I have loads of such incidents. Which one should I share with you? Oh my god. There are a lot of things which I did. I studied in an all girls college. Okay. So till my 10th standard I was in a co-ed. So I never had a issue with, talking to the opposite gender, but I happened to study in all girls college. I don't know why. So it's considered that girls don't do a lot of mischief, but I belong to that very mischievous group of friends, even in my graduation and in my post grad. So I have a lot of incidents that I can remember, but one I would just quickly mention that with a couple of friends one day during my graduation we wanted to go for a movie, and back then there were no multiplexes, so it was like a single screen Purana theater, and the tickets were like hardly 30 bucks or something. Like, can you imagine 30 bucks nowadays? Like we pay 300 bucks. So 30 bucks का tickets था, and हमारे पास 30 रुपए भी नहीं थे. So what we did was we literally on the college door, college का जो गेट था वहाँ पे अपनी गाड़ियाँ लेके हम लोग खड़े थे, and we said कि आज तो मूवी देखनी है, and we bunked classes. And we literally scraped through all our bags, and for every single chiller and penny that we will get, so 50 paisa, 25 paisa, 1 रुपया, सब मिला के finally we could make it. We borrowed it from our friends who were sitting NSS के girls थे. उनको हमने पूछा यार 2 रुपए दे दो, 2 रुपए कम पड़ रहा है, because we want to go for a movie, and they gave also, right? So we did a lot of other mischief. So this was something which was very spontaneous. It was not planned, and we just went and just watched a movie and saved ourselves from a boring lecture. Yeah. So that's why I don't want my lectures to be boring, so that students don't go running for a movie. Yeah.
So during the lockdown period of COVID-19, how
Hmm.
did you keep yourself busy? Are there
Oh,
any new activities which you explored?
oh yes, absolutely. So when lockdown started, my biggest challenge was not how I will keep myself busy, but how will I keep my son busy, who's 4 years old. So keeping him busy is a full-time job. So because of that, me and my husband, we both came up with a lot of things. So initially, first 2 months went by very smoothly, and we used to come up with lots of activities. But then it got discontinued for various reasons, and then now on and off it happens. But something that I discovered, which I had thought and I had always questioned whether I'll be able to do it or not, was cooking. So I realized that I'm a fairly good cook, and at that, I'm very good at baking. So yes, I have discovered that I can bake really well. I can cook sweets really well. So right from jalebi to gulab jamun to rasgulla to everything which I never thought कि मतलब ये चीज घर में भी बनाते हैं. We always buy it, from outside. We made it all at home. So thanks to quarantine, this was a newfound skill. Yeah.
Okay. So, ma'am, last question now. You're the
Yep.
brains behind Mitra, the wellness center
Mm.
of COEP. So, how did this idea come to your mind, and what are your future plans regarding it?
Okay. So where did this idea come from? I think when I joined COEP in 2009, uh, initially first 1 or 2 years went by understanding the system, because I came from a non-engineering system, and I taught in Ferguson College before this, and it's like a typical, standard psychology department kind of a thing. So when I came here, it took me 2 years to get acquainted to and get used to or accustomed to with all the terms that were used, because they were all very technical terms. तो 2 साल तो मेरे इसी में निकल गए. उसके बाद में I realized that students do come for counseling when they know, and by word of mouth, publicity, people used to come. Sometimes they were sent to me by faculty, and a few faculty who regularly have in touch with me regarding this की मॅम तुमच्याकडे या स्टुडंटला पाठवणार आहे. So there is Samangaonkar sir, there is Rajans ma'am, there is Attar ma'am, and couple of people who regularly are in touch with me with related to students. Abhijit sir, for example, from computer department. So I realized that everybody, in the college, they are aware of mental health, and they really want to do something for students' well-being. When we also used to do this, there were like obvious problems, because there is no structure here for a counseling room. And whenever students used to come, people used to sit in front of me, and it went very well. Students sometimes were uncomfortable, so we had to ask our faculty who are sitting close by to ask them to please leave, or it's very awkward, and even after we did this, there is always a chance of eavesdropping, and confidentiality is something which is like a ground rule for counseling. You cannot, surpass confidentiality issue. And so it was very difficult for us to start that, but gradually we started building that rapport with students, where they knew that if it reaches me or my colleague Kherman, it's not going to go anywhere. While we had developed this trust, it was always pinching me that, I know that students trust me and they may come and talk to me, and I'll not reveal anything about them anywhere. But still, this is not right, and there has to be a place if mental health is so important. And if I don't propagate it that way, that it is important, how will people give it that importance, right? Especially in a technical institute where the focus is more on academics, on, obviously the other things. But we cannot ignore the fact that unless and until you are mentally healthy, you won't be able to be at your best in your technological advancements or your fields or the things that you're creating or developing. So it started with this idea that I need a place for everybody. I wanted to start a place where everyone can come and call it their place, where they can come share their experiences and get a patient listening and not judgment, right? These are the core philosophies that I wanted Mitra to start with. And trust me, the first time when I thought about this center, the first word that came to my mind was Mitra. It was nothing else, and I'm extremely happy that it started with this word. So there were a lot of other suggestions which were given, and I convinced every single person who gave that suggestion that there is no other word than Mitra for a center which actually is trying to do that. So that's how it started. It took a long time for us to come up with a full-fledged running, or let's say functioning center, but it has happened, and I'm glad that it happened on World Mental Health Day. But I'm sure that with things in place, and I'm receiving feedback, and people are saying that don't worry, there is a team called Mitra, and they are there for you. And when I hear this about the team of Mitra, which entirely is it comprised of all the students, I'm extremely proud to say that each and every member of Mitra, every student, understands its philosophy and they follow it meticulously. So if you ask me about the future, it is going to be making it more active, because I know that it has been not very active, or let's say not the way I wanted it to be active, you know. So I want it all over the place. I want it to reach out to every single person associated with COAP. I want it to reach out to not just people associated with COAP, but outside also. They need to know that there is this place where we can go. There are these people who genuinely are interested in helping, and who are interested in maintaining the well-being, especially mental well-being of human beings. So that is our ultimate, you know, aim, that every life matters, you know, every life is worth living and every breath is worth saving. That's what we believe in.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us your valuable time and enlightening us with such an invigorating conversation. Really,
Thank you
thank you
very
so much.
much for inviting me. It has been a wonderful experience, and it's a very well designed, this entire episodes and this whole concept is really good. Thank you very much for, and thanks to the Avijat team for coming up with this concept. I'm glad I could be a part of it. I was a faculty advisor for Avijat, and again, I'm very proud that it's growing so well under the very able leadership of Dr. Atul Patil. So, thank you so much, Team Avijat. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am.